Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we are seeing Bhrigu in turn is cursing the followers of Lord Shiva. So this is one of the curse which he is giving. Bhava vrata dhara yecha. Anyone who takes a vow to satisfy Lord Shiva, Bhava is referring to Lord Shiva. Vrata dhara, if he takes a vow to satisfy Lord Shiva, and also yechatan samanu vrataha, and if he follows the principles of Lord Shiva, trying to imitate him. So in such a case, he'll become an atheist. Pashandinas te bhavantu. He's sure to become an atheist. And Sat Shastra Paripanthinaha. He will become opposed to the conclusions of Sat Shastras. So Prabhupada is explaining there are two types of followers of Lord Shiva. One is who try to imitate him, just like Lord Shiva. He actually drank the poison, hala poison, which came out after the churning of the ocean. So he is therefore called as Nilakant. His neck turns blue because of that poison. And that poison is so dangerous that anyone who takes it is sure to die immediately. But Lord Shiva, he is such a personality, he is so elevated, he is so strong that even after taking that poison, he did not die. So Lord Shiva's example is sometimes given in Srimad Bhagavatam itself. When Parikshit Maharaj placed this question before Shukdev Goswami, that Krishna's pastimes with the gopis may be imitated by people who are ignorant. So, in reply to that, and he was asking, why did Krishna perform this pastime? If ignorant people may sometime just try to imitate those pastimes. So in reply to that, Shukdev Goswami says that actually even in mind, one should not imitate great personalities. Even in mind, one should not think that Lord Krishna, he danced with the gopis, so similarly, I can also follow such kind of principles. And Shukdev Goswami gives two examples. One example is of the sun. The sun can soak impurities from any dirty place without itself becoming contaminated. But if someone else tries to imitate the sun, then, just like it is said that anything septic, we have to take antiseptic to get rid of that septic condition of life. All the dirty places is all compared to like septic, we say septic tank, all filled with impurities. If we even go to an impure place, what to talk about drinking something impure, definitely, we will get sick, we will get diseased. So we cannot imitate the sun. The sun can evaporate the impurities, and those impurities will not affect the sun. So we cannot imitate. Sun's position and our position is different. So we cannot imitate a powerful personality. Similarly, another example Shukdev Goswami gives is of Lord Shiva. That Lord Shiva, he drank poison and he was not affected. But if we try to imitate Lord Shiva and we think that let me also imitate, and we take ganja or some kind of such kind of intoxicants or poisonous thing, then actually our spiritual growth is completely impeded. So there are people who try to follow these principles of imitating Lord Shiva. They live a very devilish life, Prabhupada says. Such people becomes pashandis, atheist, as it is said here. So this is a curse of Bhrigu, that anyone who tries to follow the principles of Lord Shiva, trying to imitate him, they will all become pashandis. Another thing he says is, anyone who follows these principles, they will become deprived of conclusions of Sat Shastras. You see, Sat Shastras means the scriptures which leads one from Asat to Sat. They are called as Sat Shastras. Just like we find in the glorification of 6 Goswamis. Sat Dharma, in order to establish real religious principles, Nana Shastra Vicharanika Nipunam Sat Dharma Samsthapakau, in order to establish real principles of religion. So that means there are misunderstandings about religion. Just like Prabhupada gives the example that eyes sometimes becomes diseased with cataract, covered with cataract. That is not a normal situation of the eyes. It is a diseased situation. Similarly, Vedic literatures, because they are given by Veda Vyasa, they cannot be asat. They are Sat Shastras. Who is Veda Vyasa? He is a literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So there is no question that the Vedic literatures are having fault in them. But when we try to understand these Vedic scriptures through our limited mind and intelligence, and not in disciplic succession, we don't take conclusions as it is coming in parampara, as it is understood by great personalities. We try to imagine some meaning of the Vedic literatures. That is Asat Shastra. Any commentaries which are written on Vedanta, which are not in line of disciplic succession, they're all Asat Shastras. So anyone who tries to follow the principles of Lord Shiva, he is cursed that he will take to Asat Shastras. He may refer to Vedic literatures, but he will draw wrong, faulty, and conclusions which are opposed to real religion. He will draw such conclusions. So Prabhupada gives an example that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Kashi, Varanasi, so there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing his Sankirtana, and he was criticized by Prakashananda Saraswati, one of the followers of Shankaracharya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually, he has said that one should not associate with the Mayavadis. But still, because his devotees were very unhappy, because he was being criticized by the followers of Prakashananda Saraswati, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted an invitation from a Brahmana, where these Mayavadis are also assembling. So Prakashananda Saraswati came there, and when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered in that place, all the followers of this Prakashananda Saraswati, the Mayavadis, they were bewildered seeing the effulgence of Lord Chaitanya. And of course Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he considered himself to be not a very great sannyasi. Prakashananda Saraswati, according to the social status, he had taken sannyas from a higher order, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taken from a little lower order in that sense. So even in that external sense, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very, very humbly, he took that humble position, and he sat down on a lower platform. So Prakashananda Saraswati then personally took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and made him to sit down properly. So then he started criticizing Lord Chaitanya. He said that you are a sannyasi, and the most important duty of a sannyasi is to read Vedanta. So why are you not reading Vedanta? Why are you wasting your time sentimentally, singing and dancing in the street like a sentiment? You should be reading Vedanta. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very, mildly told him that, my dear Saraswati, my spiritual master saw me as a great fool. He did not consider that I have ability to understand Vedanta. So, he told me that better you just chant the holy name of the Lord. And I started chanting the holy name of the Lord. And I am not dancing or singing out of sentiment. My spiritual master told me that it is the nature of the holy name. Anyone who chants becomes ecstatic. So please do not think that I am chanting out of sentiment. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains to him that the followers of Shankaracharya who try to understand Vedanta, thinking that they can understand Vedanta, actually cannot understand the real imports of Vedanta. So I'll read that small section where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comments. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, the material defects of mistakes, illusion, cheating, and sensory inefficiency do not exist in the words of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying Vedanta, which is given by Veda Vyasa, does not have any mistakes. There is no doubt about it. There are 4 mistakes any conditioned soul will have. Liberated soul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are free from these 4 mistakes. One is, these are called material defects. One, to commit mistakes. Anyone who is in conditional state of life is sure to commit mistake. There is a saying, to err is human, to commit mistake is human. It is normal. Anybody will commit mistake. Second is, we are subject to be illusioned. We are subject to be illusioned. Just like, say for example, if we see a small, if we see from our this naked eyes, the size of the sun, to our eyes, it looks like a small disc, which can be very easily measured. What is the size of the sun we see from these eyes? Something like a small plate. But from science we understand it is many thousand times bigger even than Earth. So our senses are covered by illusion. Then cheating propensity. So we all understand that even the greatest of the scientists, what to talk about a normal human being, we have this cheating propensity. And then fourth is, our senses are limited. They have a certain range. Say for example, I cannot see beyond this wall. I cannot see so many countries are existing. Our senses are limited. There is a limitation to eyes, limitations to the ears, correct? Limitations to our smelling power, all are limited. Certain things I cannot smell does not mean they do not exist. Certain things I cannot see does not mean it does not exist. So these are the limitations of our senses. Any Vedic scripture, because they are given by Veda Vyasa, who is literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord, they are free from these effects. Then, next, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, the absolute truth is described in the Upanishad and Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra. But one must understand the verses as they are. That is the supreme glory in understanding. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains there are two types of meaning one can take out from the shlokas which are given in the Vedic scriptures. One is called Mukhya Vritti, another is called Gauna Vritti. Main meaning and some indirect meaning. Indirect meaning is required only when the direct meaning is not clear. Sometimes there may be possibility that direct meaning may not be clear. At that time, some indirect reference may be required to understand. But generally, the Vedic scripture should be understood through Mukhya Vritti, not Gauna Vritti, not indirect meanings. This is a very important thing to understand if somebody wants to understand the Vedic scriptures. Then, Shripad Shankaracharya, he has described all the Vedic literatures in terms of indirect meanings. One who hears such explanation is ruined. His spiritual life will be finished. And we will find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying he had a purpose. It is not fault of Shripad Shankaracharya. He was ordered to do so by the Supreme Lord for a purpose. And purpose was for a certain time. These indirect explanations were required only for a certain time. Just like Buddhist philosophy was required only for a certain time. See, this is the understanding. Gauna Vritti, to interpret the Vedic literature according to the Gauna Vritti, is required only for specific time. It is not forever. And for a certain purpose, it may be required. Otherwise, the real meaning of the Vedic scripture is Mukhya Vritti. Direct meaning one should take, not indirect. Prabhupada gives an example. When Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsava Mamakaha Pandavascheva Kimakuruvat Sanjaya. Isn't it? When Dhritarashtra is saying Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre, it is a crystal clear meaning. That in the place of Dharma Kshetra, which is called Kurukshetra, my sons and the sons of Pandavas have assembled for a war. What happened? He is asking, Kimakuruvat. So now, there are some philosophers who take indirect meaning, which is not there in the scriptures, which is not there according to the dictionary also. It is an imaginary meaning. Imaginary meaning. You see? Like, so what does he say? So that commentator is saying, actually there is no real Kurukshetra. There were no real Pandavas. There were no real Kauravas. Kurukshetra means this body. This body is a Kurukshetra. The bad elements are Kauravas. The good thoughts, the good elements are Pandavas. And the battle is going on between good and bad, and good will win. This is their nonsense understanding. You see? This is Gona Vritti, imaginary meaning one may think about. Now you will find, in order to explain certain phenomenon, great acharyas or scriptures may use some allegories. Say for example, when Narad Muni was preaching to King Prachin Barhi, he used certain allegories to make him understand that there is a city, that story of Puranjana. It is an allegoric story which is meant to derive a certain meaning, to understand certain important concepts which one may not understand directly. You see? So Gona Vritti, if it is used to understand Mukhya Vritti, it is different. But if you take Gona Vritti as everything, Mahavakya, just like Aham Brahmasmi, this is not the main theme of the Vedic literatures. Whereas Shankaracharya took this as Mahavakya. Yes, I am Brahman, I am of the nature of Brahman. But then he has not taken other meanings, understanding. What is the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi? I am Brahman, of the same nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not that I am that Supreme Lord. Tattvam Asi, you are that. So they will misinterpret, you are that Supreme. Isn't it? So he has commented on Gona Vritti of Vedanta Sutra. Natural commentary is Bhagavatam, given by the same author, Vedavyasa. So I'll just read one or two and then we will stop. Shripad Shankaracharya has described all Vedic literature in terms of indirect meaning. One who hears such explanation is ruined. Shankaracharya is not at fault. It is under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he has covered the real purport of the Vedas. So here Prabhupada quotes from Padma Purana. You see, in Padma Purana, Lord Shiva himself says, Mayavadam asat shastram prachannam bodha uchyate mayyeva kalpitam devi kalau brahmana rupina. Lord Shiva is telling Parvati, in Kali Yuga, I will myself come as a Brahmana and I will make some imaginary meaning of the Vedas. I will describe Vedas in terms of Mayavada, which is Asat Shastra. It is not Sat Shastra, it is not the real meaning of the Vedic literatures. I'll read the whole thing. I'll read the translation. The Mayavada philosophy, Lord Shiva informed his wife Parvati, is impious, Asat Shastra. It is covered Buddhism. Then, my dear Parvati, in Kali Yuga, I assume the form of a Brahmana and teach this imagined Mayavada philosophy in order to cheat the atheists. I describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be without form, without qualities. Similarly, in explaining Vedanta, I describe the same Mayavada philosophy in order to mislead the entire population towards atheism by denying the personal form of the Lord. Then Prabhupada quotes from Shiva Purana also. This is from Padma Purana. Shiva Purana, Lord is telling Lord Shiva that you go in Kali Yuga and preach Mayavada. That is also there. So there is a reason. In some of other class, later on we will try to understand what was the reason why Buddha came first to spread atheism, and later on Shankaracharya came in order to bring these atheistic class of people little bit more nearer. So in very short I will just tell. At the time of Lord Buddha, it was required because the Brahmanas of that time, they were taking the interpretations of the Vedic literatures, wherein it says that one can sacrifice animals. It is prescribed. But for what reason? And who can sacrifice? The sacrifices were meant not for eating. Sacrifices were meant to test the efficacy of chanting the Vedic mantras, wherein some old animal can be sacrificed and he is immediately given a new body. This is real meaning of conducting a sacrifice, wherein Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains this. This was the meaning. Now let us say what happens in Kali Yuga. There are no Brahmanas like that who have that strength, who can chant Vedic mantra in such a way that they can sacrifice an old animal and give it new life. It is not there. So then what is the meaning of their conducting sacrifice? They don't have that power to conduct, but they were still conducting and they were using it as a pretext to eat meat. So in order to be compassionate on these living entities, the Lord appeared as Buddha. And he had no other means but to deny the authorities of the Veda. So he said, you don't read Vedas, don't try to understand Vedas, just follow what I am saying. Because when you are not in a position to understand Veda, what is the use of following Veda? First you have to become eligible to understand Veda. So indirectly for some time he made them alienated from the Vedas. That was his idea. Take them out from Vedic scriptures. So he said, Ahimsa Param Dharma, just follow Ahimsa. Otherwise you cannot get any spiritual life. So he never talked about Atma, he never talked about God. So they are called Shunyavadis. Now Shankaracharya has to now do his job. Buddha has done his job. He has to re-establish the Vedas, because Vedas are eternal. Temporarily you may take a person out from the Veda, otherwise his life is spoiled. So Shankaracharya, in order to take them one step now towards Veda, from atheism, he converted it to impersonalism. From atheism to impersonalism. And he used Vedas to come to that point. You see, that was his contribution. So it was meant for temporary time. It is not to be followed forever. That should be understood. So we'll stop with this. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.